All right, so this is your Unit 3 review. We did this review in class, but remember, the best way to do it is by doing the review again by yourself at home. Okay, number 1. In Miss Tiffy's math class, students were given a quiz. Each student took the same amount of time for each problem. Right? Which equation represents the rate of change between the questions? So we have x, we have y. So remember, I always told you to do y over x. So this would be, first set of numbers would be 6 over 1, which equals 6. So another way to do that is to find the amount of change. So the amount of change between the y's. So this went up 6, and then this went up 1. So it'd be still 6 over 1, which is 6. So our equation would be y is equal to 6x. Okay, number 2. Angie and her family drove 8 hours a day. Please draw a graph to represent y, the total number of hours driven in X amount of days. If you have a graph, y is hours, which is usually X, but in this case, we're representing two forms of time, hours and days, where X is days. So I'll make days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'll make my hours go up by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So in one day, I went 8 hours. Okay, this is going to be a little bit crooked. So then it should be a relatively straight line, but again, this is handmade, so it's not perfect. So this is a graph, okay? And on your test, you'll have multiple choice questions like that. A lot of you started doing this. That's a table. That's not what I was asking for. All right, number 3. Karen gained 3.4 kilograms after the holidays. 1 kilogram is equal to approximately 2.2 pounds. Find the measurement number of pounds that Karen gained. Okay, first off, y'all had this on the stations, and you're making it more difficult than you are because you're not reading. When you read, you just look for the numbers, and that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You need to physically understand what this is asking, because a lot of you missed this one. Okay, this is asking me to change 3.4 kilograms to pounds. Well, I know 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, and you always label your numbers. So I need to change 3.4 kilograms to pounds. So 3.4 goes on top. So you just cross multiply. So you do 3.4 times 2.2, which is 7.48, and then 1 times x, which is x. All right, number 4. Angie bought 2.5 pounds of almonds for $23.40. How much did she pay per pound for the almonds? So we have $23.40 for every 2.5 pounds. I want to figure out how much I pay for 1 pound of almond. So I cross multiply. I get 2.5x is equal to 23.4 or 40. So you divide. So I'm going to divide 2.5 into 23.40. So you move you can't have a decimal on the outside. So I'm going to move this once to the house. And what you do on the outside, you do on the inside. So I'm going to move this once as well to the right. And the decimal comes up. So now I need to divide 25 into 234. So when you do that, dividing can be really hard, can be difficult. So I like to use my answer choices. So my first number can be a 1, a 7, a 9, or a 0. Well, I know it's not a 0. And I know it goes in there more than one time because I'm dividing 25 into 234. So I got to figure out how many times, if it's going to be 7 or 9. So it actually comes out to be 9 because 25 times 9 is 225. So it's just slightly less. So since my answer it starts with a 9, that means my answer choice has to be C for 9.36. Use your answer choices to help you divide. Okay. Number 5, the price of a pair of shoes increases from 52 to 64. What's the percent increase to the nearest percentage? Okay, yesterday we had a problem just like this. Okay, y'all missed the part where, again, you're not reading. A lot of times what you do is you just see two numbers and you set them up proportion equal to x over 100. You're not understanding what's asking for. You're asking for how much it's increased by. So you got to figure out how much is increased by finding the difference. So you do 64 minus 52, which is 12. Since that's the difference goes on top of the original amount. The original amount is how much you started with. I started with $52. So 52 goes on the bottom, and you said equal to x over 100. So now you just cross multiply. You do 52 times x, which is just 52x. And then 12 times 100, which is 1200. So then you divide by 52 to both sides. When I take 1200 and I divide by 52, you get 23.07 and goes on percent. On your test, it'll be a much better number. All right, biggest thing, if it's asking for an increase or a decrease, you first have to find the difference. All right, number 6, Bob's mom filled a gas tank in her SUV and spent $83 for 23.5 gallons of unleaded gasoline. What's the constant proportionality in the situation? So when you're finding the constant proportionality, you're trying to find the unit rate. You know, for $83, you get 23.5 gallons of gas. You need to figure out how much you spend for 1 gallon of gas. So you cross multiply. You get 23.5x is equal to 83. So then you're going to divide. And I'm going to divide 23.5 and 83. You can't have a decimal on the outside. So you move this once, you move this once. So now you have to figure out how many times 235 goes in 830. Well, again, you have answer choices. I have a 0 or a 3. That can be either number. So it does not go in there 0 times. It goes in there a certain amount. So I know it has to go in there 3 times because that's my answer. So I'm going to do 235 times 3, which is 705. So you're going to subtract that. And you get 125. Now I kind of ran out of room, but now I got to figure out how many times does 235 go to 1,250. Well, I know 235 times 3 is 705. My next number in the lineup is a 5 or a 2. Well, it has to be a 5 because it's much bigger than the number I just handled. So it has to be G, which it is. The answer would come out to, if you divided it fully, would come out to $3.53. All right, number 7. A toy car factory typically produces 20,000 toy cars per day and uses 50 boxes of packing for the toys. If the number of boxes needed for packing is proportional to the number of toys cars produced, how many more boxes would be needed on the day when 40,000 toys cars are produced? Well, I'm going to set up a ratio. For 20,000 toy cars, I use 50 boxes. So I'm going to put the 40,000 up here because that's 40,000 toy cars. Now I don't know how many boxes I will need. So I'll cross multiply. So you're going to do 40,000 times 50, which you can just do 4 times 5, which is 20, and then count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to do 20,000 times x, which is 20,000x. Then you're going to divide. Cross this off and divide over here. So I have a lot of zeros. I want to cancel them out because I like to work with smaller numbers. So cross off, cross off, cross off, and cross off. Well, now I'm just dividing 2 into 200, which is 100 equals x. So I would need 100 boxes for if I produce 40,000 toy cars. But 100 isn't my answer choice. So it means there's some things we're not doing something correct. So I'm going to reread my problem. So I'm going to reread it, make sure I'm answering what I'm supposed to be answering. A toy car factory typically produces 20,000 toy cars per day and uses 50 boxes for packing the toys. If the number of boxes needed for packing is proportional to the number of toys produced, how many more? Oh, it says how many more boxes. Well, that could have tricked us. It says how many more boxes. So make sure you actually understand what it's asking for. So I already have 50 boxes and I need 100. So that means I need to go out and get 50 more boxes to pack all these toys. So it's H. Number 8, the price of a waffle maker was reduced from $60 to $43. By what percentage was the price of the waffle maker reduced by? So it's reduced or decreased. So you have to find the difference. So you have to do 60 minus 43, which is 17. So you're going to put 17 over the original amount of $60. And since you're trying to find the percentage, you're going to cross multiply. So you do x over 100. So x times 60 is just 60x. And then 17 times 100 is 1700. So then we divide 60 to both sides. Cross off. I'm going to cross off a 0. And so then all I have to do is divide 170 by 6. And you get 28.33 repeating percentage. All right, number 9. The table below shows Brian's budget last month. About what percent of Brian's monthly budget was spent on groceries? Well, there's one thing missing. I don't know how much Brian makes per month. So I need to find his total. So the way you find your totals, you add them up. So you do 750 plus 150 plus 200 plus 130 plus 50. When you do that, you get 1,280. No, you don't. You get 1,200. Yeah, 1,280. Excuse me. So that's how much he makes per month. So that's his total. So his total goes on the bottom. And it says I'm comparing groceries, but I don't see groceries up here. Well, another word for groceries is food. So I spend $200 of food per month. And since I'm trying to find a percentage, you're going to do x over 100. So you cross multiply. You get 1,280x. And then 200 times 100 is 20,000. Then you divide. You can cross off some zeros. And then just divide. Well, I don't know if I'm able to cross off. Come on. There you go. So now you're just going to divide 2,000 by 128. And you get 15.625%. So it'd be about 16% of the budget is going towards food. All right, number 10. A dog can run at a rate of 16 feet in 0.25 minutes. Which represents the constant rate of change? Well, I know another word for constant rate of change is unit rate. So for every 16 feet, I go 0.25 minutes. I need to figure out how far I go in 1 minute for my unit rate. So I go cross multiply. So I get 0.25x is equal to 16. So you divide by 0.25 to both sides. Cross is off. 0.25 divided into 16 actually makes the number bigger, and you get 64. Because when you divide by a decimal, it's kind of like multiplying. So you get 64. So he goes in 1 minute, he goes 64 feet. So now I can look at my answer choices to compare it. So it says A, the dog's speed is 6.25 feet per minute. No, we just proved it was 64 feet per minute. Okay, B says the equation would be D is equal to 0.25 times T. Well, that's not right because it's saying the constant is 0.25. The constant's actually 64, so the equation should be D is equal to 64T. All right, so now I'm going to look at my table. Well, so at 0, you go 0. At 0.5 minutes, you go half of that, so it's 32, 164, and so on. This looks pretty correct. D. I'm comparing distance by time. And so here it says 20 minutes. I go like 2.5 feet, or it even says centimeters. So that's even more wrong. So that's wrong. So now I know C is the correct answer. All right, thank you guys. Remember, study it and do the problems by yourself, and you'll do great tomorrow.